Next is the filter and the multiband processing. So this is the chain. We have, again, note mod device for the envelope and LFO for the LFOs. We have the tool device to set the level. So this is receiving then the signal that we've used up in the oscillator before. And what we want to do is multiband process the whole thing to make it a little more Neuro bassy sounding. So we use first of all we use first multiband to basically split the frequencies at 87 Hertz. So we have all the frequencies below that and all the frequencies above that. And we don't need any of the low frequencies, so we put this knob to 0, and then we're using just this, just the highs. And then we have another multiband here, where, we're splitting it again into 3 further bands. So, and these bands have crossovers, you can set them here, and I've mapped them to these macros so it's easier to turn. On the lows, we have an EQ where we're removing some resonances I didn't like. We have a distortion, to drive it a little bit. A tool device to set the level again, and then we have another multiband, so just like this one. And we have the crossovers at the same frequencies as these, and then we soloing only the lows. And to do this basically splits, usually what you do is split the signal into multiple bands and then process each of them individually. But because I'm doing some heavy distortion especially in the mid portion, some of the signal can bleed over into the lows and into the highs over the crossovers that you've set. So I have basically just another multiband at the end to limit the crossovers. So basically where the crossovers happens, that's where the sound actually changes. Cool. So that's the lows. The mids, another EQ, and we have this dip in here at, where is it? 1.1, no, this one, 803 Hertz. So that's how you get that mid-rangey kind of drop-off. That's fairly characteristic of those boys' sounds. Another tool device to set the level. Another wave shaper. This time it's a little more extreme. So asymmetric and DC blocker, dry wet to 100. And then we have this curve going. So this is where the signal would be at 0, and this is the positive side of the signal, and this would be the negative. As you can see, it's distorting pretty heavily. Another tool device to set the level, and a multiband at the end again. This time you're only soloing the mids, and the crossovers are the same as here. Highs, chorus for some stereo width, reverb for some reverb on the highs, tool device to set the level, and multiband, solo the highs, crossovers, the same as here. And that's basically the multiband processing done. Then we have a bandpass filter, which we'll use to modulate the cutoff of that up and down to get the kind of bandpassy Reese Neuro bass kind of sound. We have it off for now. We have a compressor. This is going to compress the signal so it has a fairly consistent level when we introduce this filter, because use a bandpass filter, you just have a portion of the frequency spectrum, so the amplitude is going to vary up and down a little bit. Use a compressor for that. Tool device to set the level for one final time, and all in all it sounds like this. So we went from this to this. Cool. So finally we have these macros that you can use to set the crossovers with. So you use that to make a sound that you like. And then you have this cutoff knob here that's controlling the cutoff of that bandpass filter up and down, and an on-off switch for that filter. So without the filter, and then finally with the filter. And you can also move the filter up and down. Cool, so that's the filter and multiband processing. Finally, we just need to do some house cleaning at the end. So this is the chain here. We're using the tool device to set the levels. And then we have another multiband here, which I'm using this time for basically replacing everything below 106 Hertz with the this audio receiver device, which is receiving the sub signal from here. So anything below 106 Hertz is just going to be that sub we've created here. So we have a nice sub, and we have all the top end character that we had before. On the mids, usually I just put a reverb up here, which I can then dial in with this space knob. I've taken the inspiration from ill.Gates' bass racks, and I've ported them over to Bitwig. But anyways, if you want some stereo width, just crank this space knob, and it will engage the reverb, turn up the mix, and widen the mids up a bit. I didn't need this in this instance. I also have some distortion and reverb again at the highs. So again, turn the space knob, and basically that makes the mids and the highs a little bit wider. And you also have this crisp knob, which turns up the distortion on the highs if we need it. In this case, I don't, so I didn't use it. I have another EQ set up here when it's gonna be time to mix. This is just the preset curve here from another rack that I've just ported this one into, and then another compressor to have just, you know, all of this then gets squashed into a nice sustained bassy sound, so we don't have any volume dips or it going too loud or going too soft. So all in all, makes a little bit of a difference, but the most significant part is replacing the sub in the lower frequencies. So if we put up a spectrum analyzer here, you'll see the sub, so this is without it, and this is with it. See, everything below 100 gets replaced by that sub we've created here. And yeah, that's pretty much the whole thing. So this is how you get from that guitar sound into a Neuro bass kind of tone. I'll play it again so you can hear it. And then move the filter up and down, however you like. Okay, that's how you make bass music on a guitar. If anyone would like to collaborate maybe on some stuff, if you again, bass player, guitar player, whatever, and you're interested in this kind of stuff, please let me know.